First thing we're going to do is replace the flasher with the Mustang Project electronic flasher. Now, the taillights will not sequential without the special flasher, which I'll show you in a moment. Here it is. Little black box to make the click sound, and then the electronics in the computer on the printed circuit board. Now, you'll notice that the existing flasher is connected with two wires to a modular connector. And on the early GM cars, this modular connector was separate from the fuse box. On later cars, there might be a flasher on the fuse box, but normally that's a flasher for the emergency lighting, not for the turn signal. Well into the 60s, they had their turn signal flasher separately, housed on this little module. So you'll notice there's a purple wire and a brown wire. Now, one of the first things you're going to do is you're going to verify that your lighting system is all working. Don't install new components till you verify the old components are working. So, in early GM cars, the red wire from the Mustang Project flasher is the switch to 12 volts. So that connects to the brown wire coming from the car's harness. The most important thing is that you use the test light or voltmeter and you verify that this brown wire provides 12 volts when the ignition is on and nothing when the ignition is off. The purple wire leads up to the turn signal switch, and that comes from the flasher here, and that provides the flashing signal. Now, the Mustang Project flasher has an extra wire, a black wire here, which is simply connected to the chassis ground. Now, before replacing any LED lamps, and after we've verified that we do indeed have a good working system before we've changed anything, we're going to test the incandescent lamps that are in the car, because this flasher will work with incandescent lamps or Mustang Project LED lamps. Okay, now we're at the back of the car, and we're going to replace the incandescent lamps with LEDs. Now, the thing to be aware of is that your car will have most likely 50-year-old sockets. I don't know if you can see in here or not, but this particular socket, which we've removed, someone has in the past actually soldered little clumps of solder on the contacts. They probably did this many years ago because this lamp is not making good contact with the socket. It's very typical for these sockets to fail so that the spring contacts that are at the bottom of the socket become weak. Imagine that a lamp has been in a socket for 50 years. You can see that there's a lot of corrosion, and when you start removing these lamps, you will expose weaknesses in the socket. For instance, this particular socket, if I put the lamp back in, actually functioned with this lamp. Okay, but it's very loose. That is, there's almost no spring tension whatsoever. You see, when I twist it, see how the lamp easily wiggles? It functions because this lamp is conformed exactly to the shape of the springs. It's been in there 50 years. Put a new lamp in this socket and it likely will not function. So you have to remove those sockets and replace them with new sockets. PB Blaster is your friend. Never insert a new lamp in an ancient socket without first cleaning it with PB Blaster. In your kit you will get lamps that are marked just like this, and they're marked inner, middle, and outer. If you have a 3-lamp system, the inner refers to the lamp closest to the center of the car, the middle farther away, the outer. They have to be placed in the right order so that they'll sequence properly. So in this car, the EngineStat 1966 Toronado, the lamps removed from the bottom of the housings. And so we have 3 lamps on each side. You can see the inner, middle, and outer. Now these are the old lamps. We've put PB Blaster in this socket, for instance, and now we're going to test fit the lamp. So now we're going to test fit the lamp in the socket. We sprayed it with PB Blaster. We can see that nobody has soldered anything On the terminals, they don't seem to be damaged. They do look to be a little flattened, which may be a problem. So let's test fit the lamp first. Now you'll notice that these types of lamps, the so-called 1157 type lamps, which are used on many classic cars, have offset pins. These little pins polarize the lamp. It's very important that you look inside the socket and make sure that these pins correspond to the lamps. If you don't, you will break the lamp. So I look down in here and I see the little dogleg shapes that house the pins, and I make sure the pin that corresponds to the shorter dog leg goes to this pin, and then I insert. Now, always use a soft cloth or something to grab the lamp with. You don't want to break it. Twist and push gently, not super hard. You notice this lamp fits fairly well. It moves a little bit, but generally it stays in. I think this is going to be a good socket, so we're going to use it. If the lamp were very loose, I would have to find another socket, because if those springs inside become damaged, then you simply will not be able to seat the lamp, and it will rattle around and intermittently function, and you'll be very unhappy. A lamp has been in there for many years, probably 50 years, never changed. As a result, the springs are deformed and it's very loose. So we have a donor socket, which we have from another car. GM cars have these large plastic sockets with metal grounding tabs here. So we'll test this one. Donor sockets are the best. There are reproduction sockets. Using my soft cloth, I find that I can insert it and it has a nice click, but I don't have to muscle it, and you see this lamp is extremely tight. So we're going to put this socket in place of the other socket. For example, here's an original housing. If I use this reproduction socket of this type, it will fit, and if I compress it enough, it will go right into the hole. A couple of downfalls for this type of socket. It's possible to reverse the polarity of these particular lamp terminals and change the operation of the lamp. That's what you don't want to do. So once you have this assembled, you have to verify that this thing hasn't become twisted, reversing the polarity of the lamp. The other problem is that this type of socket is designed to be used where the lamp is installed from the lens side. In other words, if we had had the lamp inserted into the socket when we forced the socket into the housing, it would have crushed the lamp, voiding the warranty and destroying it. Here we have the sequencer working on the driver's side. Of course, on the passenger side, it's just in the driving light mode, so you don't see blinking there. Passenger side.